Good morning, everyone. There's technical difficulties this morning. It kept saying we were going live. It didn't go live. Today is day 20 of my 365 days of gratitude. And it is the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Sun is shining, and I'm here in Pomona. So I hope everyone's doing well. Got up late, and then the computer wouldn't start. So I'm grateful for that I'm here and that I'm doing this day 20. Yesterday we are cleaning out our garage. We are cleaning out the house. We are getting ready for Christmas and the new year and we've got a dumpster out front and we're clearing stuff out. And I ran into a pile of pictures, and those pictures were of a trip that I took to New York when I was 18 with my grandmother. So today my gratitude's about her. As I've discussed before, my mom was 14 and my dad was 16 when they got pregnant. They were 15 and 17 when I was born. And my dad's mom, Grandma Sylvia Stein, was very religious, and she kind of, pushed them to get married. And she used to watch me when my mom went to school. And so from a very young age, I had a pretty good relationship with my grandmother. My first word was C's because she used to take me to C's Candy and get that free candy when we were at the mall. We lived in Vegas, so it was hot. And so she would take me to the mall and we would go to C's and get a piece of candy and enjoy the free air conditioning at the mall. She just was this free-spirited woman, even though she was a woman of a certain age and her relationship with her husband was kind of icky in my opinion, and she was very religious, but she also kind of loved unconditionally. Excuse me. She was a writer in her part for, just as a hobby, and she was a lot of fun. I really loved her. And this one particular trip to New York, I was either 17 or 18. And we were on this trip, and I think I must have been 18 because I was talking a lot about gay stuff on the airplane when we got to New York. And she asked me, she said, "Are you gay?" And I knew because of her religion that she wasn't going to be cool with it. So I told her something that for being so young, it was probably really smart of me to say, and I say it a lot now, and that's, I don't want you to ask questions that you don't really want to hear the answer to. I think she asked me on the way to New York. And she said, fair enough. And, we went to some shows, and one of the things that we did that I'll never forget is we went to, oh my goodness, I'm sorry. We went to the Statue of Liberty, and you could climb up the Statue of Liberty at the time. And I'll post that, make that the thumbnail, the pictures of us in the crown of the Statue of Liberty. And we went to Ellis Island and found some ancestors. And so in those pictures, there's a lot of photos in the background of the Twin Towers that were destroyed during 9/11. And when we were in Manhattan, we went on those. And that was my only time ever visiting the Twin Towers before they came down. So that trip, had a lot of different meanings for me. A year later, pretty much to the date, I was on another trip with my grandmother. And we were headed to Utah to spend. Her religion only celebrated Easter. That was the only version of Easter. That was the only holiday they celebrated. And we were headed towards Easter service with my uncle who lived in Utah. And She said, "Do you remember last year when we were going to New York and I asked you if you were gay?" And I was like, "Yes." And she goes, "Well, I'm ready to hear the answer." And it was really hard. It was really hard to tell her. But I told her. She said she was ready to hear the answer. She wanted to hear the answer. And so I told her. And she had a lot of questions. She didn't stop loving me. And you could tell that she just had a lot of questions. She was very concerned. She was very, um, it was against what her religion believed. It was against what she believed her whole life. The relationship was always a little bit different after that until one of her sisters passed away. And we had to go to Palm Springs. And at this point, I had a baby and a partner. And we went to Palm Springs, and, my grandmother was 60, 61. It was the middle of the summer. It was hot. I had this baby, and we had to move everything out of this condo. Her sister had passed away, and I ended up doing most of the work. And that night, we were sleeping in this condo that was half empty, and I was just exhausted, and the baby was fussy, and so I went and like slept in one room, and she and my partner and the baby were like in this other room, and my partner was like helping take care of the baby. And the next morning at breakfast, my grandma said to me, she goes, that Michael was changing diapers yesterday and taking care of that baby as if it was his own. And I was like, Grandma, we've had this conversation. She goes, no, no, hold on. And she said, I had 3 boys. And my husband never changed a diaper in his life. If gay marriage or gay relationships, I guess at the time it wasn't marriage, if gay relationships mean that men change diapers, then maybe I'm okay with it. And that was the turning point in the relationship. My grandma, now she died a couple years later. She died really young. She died at 63. But she became okay. She was never going to walk in a gay pride parade. And I was okay with that. But the fact that she accepted my relationship, that she understood what it looked like, and that's one of the reasons we had to come out. That's why it was important for us to come out. That was why it was important for us to just live our genuine, authentic lives, was so people could see that there wasn't anything scary about us being gay. And it's just who we are. But our relationships don't look much different than yours. Our troubles and problems don't look much different than everyone else's. And I really appreciate that she put her religion, which still preaches, you know, um, that homosexuality is wrong. She put it to the side when it came to her grandchildren. She didn't forget it, but she still loved us. She still loved me. She still treated me like a human being and loved me till the day she died. So I'll always be grateful for that relationship. I talk about how a couple of days ago, how the poem that my sister wrote me is the poem that I want to be buried with. Um, my grandmother, when she was dying, she gave away all her worldly possessions. She was in the hospital. She thought she had a cold. And really what happened was she thought she had a cold, and then she thought she had a stroke. And she went to the doctors, and the doctor said, you don't have a cold and you didn't have a stroke. You have lung cancer, and the tumors are so big, they're pushing on your nerves, and you're having paralysis. You have 30 days to live. She died 31 days later. And what she did was she said, I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to die at home. And she still was very conscious. So set up hospice in her living room. And there she was for 31 days. One of the things that was inspiring about that process was she said, tell my children to come say goodbye to me, tell my grandchildren, and she said goodbye to people and she gave them something personal and she gave away all of her possessions. And about a week before she died, things were going downhill pretty bad. And me and my aunt, my uncle were sitting around a bed and she kept saying, what do you want, Mitchie? What do you want? I'm giving away most of my stuff. What do you want? And I was like, I don't want anything. I don't want anything. And she had this little crappy box that when you opened it, you poked to the bottom and pulled it out. And that's where she would hide her money from my grandfather, her play money. And the thing about my grandma too, this is going to go long. The thing about my grandma too is she used to always give everyone presents. Like every time I saw her, she had a present for me because she didn't start her holidays. So she would just give me presents all the time. And she would wrap them in the funnies. The newspaper used to have a colorful comic section on the weekend, and that's what she would use as wrapping paper. Depression babies. And so, so those were the type of things that I just thought, well, we'll always have newspapers. That's what my memory would be of her. She had this box, and she poked it, and she there was jewelry in there, and she was telling us which granddaughter got what jewelry. And then she said, sorry, my dad's calling him, hoping he's okay. And then so she closed the box and she kind of like put her hand on the box, and we were like, what's going on with the box? And she said, like my aunt said to her, what? You've given everything away, Sylvia. You've given everything away. You've done it. You can pass on now. But who gets the box? And she pulled her mask down and she was looking at the box, and we thought that there was going to be something interesting about the box. She said, it's just yard sale crap. And so that's the box. I have the box. Kind of sums up my relationship with my grandma, and I'm really excited about it. Anyways, let me get to my 3 things. Something I did yesterday that I want to repeat is I'm throwing out stuff I don't need. I'm giving it away. I'm tossing it. I'm donating it. If I don't need it and I'm not using it, it's gone. So I'm going to repeat that today until that process is done. Something I did yesterday that I am not going to repeat was that nitpicking at my boyfriend. Got to stop doing that. And something I didn't do yesterday that I am going to do today is drink a little bit more water. All right. What are your 3 things? I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.